Ladies and gentlemen, from the creator of Sinister Bunny Studios, this is the Metal Brain Podcast. Alright, what's up you guys? Today's episode is going to be something a little bit different. If you've listened through the podcasts that I have released so far, that there are a couple of recordings that were retroactively made with my buddy Daniel back before the Metal Brain Podcast was the Metal Brain Podcast, where I had no idea where the whole podcast idea that I had was going to go. And this is one of the most adolescent versions of what this podcast was going to be for me. And so it's a very different tone than how the podcast has been so far. It's a very slow, atmospheric, kind of darker vibe going on compared to the kind of casual, more shoot the shit episodes. But this is, I think, important to see and listen to because it shows kind of where my thinking was at the time and how much it has changed and just the whole development of what the podcast ended up being. You know, there's a lot of different things that I wanted to try. There's a lot of different ideas that I had for the whole thing. And this is just one of them. I'm going to be discussing like nightmares, I think, for most of this. It's not super long, but I discuss a lot of weird, dark side things of what nightmares are and what they mean and all stuff surrounding nightmares. It was just a different idea that I had to take the podcast in. Maybe it's a second podcast I got to start and go in that direction with that kind of darker topic thing. Who fucking knows? But this is a very, very early recording of myself. Very different vibe, like I said. A lot darker. But I think it's important to have in the archive just so we can see where my ideas were, where my head was, and how far things have come, and how drastically different they kind of honestly are. So enjoy this retroactive recording, very early days of this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Enjoy. Well, welcome to the late night podcast, where it is super dark and atmospheric in the room. I have one single light on me, and the rest of the room is pretty much dark. If I could make it darker in the back, I would. If I could make it pitch black behind me, I would. I've got me, myself, my trusty microphone, my phone, my light, and you. And that's all we've got. Now, I wonder how you're feeling about this podcast. Is it uncomfortable? Is it enveloping? Does it bring you to another world? What does it do for you? Now, I can't say what it does because I can't speak for you, nor will I. However, I think far too many podcasts with a video form are clean and bright and fancy looking when they really should not be, depending on the topic of the podcast. So now, if we wanted it to be dark and atmospheric and talking about dark topics, then this would be the way to go. The way I'm doing it currently is probably the best solution for that. It's easy to do because I can record these late at night. I don't have to be overly loud. I'm not playing my instruments. I'm just talking and getting intimate with you guys, and that's it. The topics will fit the scene as justly as possible, and we'll just kind of go from there. You'll have to deal with the webcam quality because that's the best way that I can record these long form videos without having giant file sizes and without having to do a lot of editing work and rendering and all that fun stuff. So we can keep it cool, keep it calm, keep it collected, and keep it creepy and dark and atmospheric and everything in between. So, first topic of the podcast. And for the very first podcast, the topic that we should bring up is, what are nightmares and what do they mean? Now, at first, that may seem like a very big question, a very big open-ended question, and a very cliche question to say, nightmares, what do they mean? It's hard to really say because everybody has an answer for that. Some people think dreams and nightmares have some sort of meaning in your life, depending on what's been going on in your life, who's involved in your life, and everybody has their own answers for what they believe dreams and nightmares mean, where they come from, and whether you have them or not. Some people claim to not have any dreams at all and no nightmares. Now, myself, I can kind of relate to that at certain points. And again, I can't speak for you, but for myself at least, when I was going through college and I was working full time while being a full time student, I did not get the amount of sleep that I should have. I got very little sleep, the most minimal sleep that I could possible to still function, if you even want to say that's functioning. But during that time, I feel that I had dreams and nightmares and everything in between, but I never remembered them enough for them to be a thought. I'm under the belief that most of the time you are dreaming when you sleep, when you're taking a nap, whenever you're dozed off and unconscious in that inner conscious world or subconscious world. So, as to what dreams and nightmares and stuff are, I can't say exactly. I don't know for sure what they all are. I don't know what they mean. But I think during that time where I had very little sleep, I didn't remember a lot of it. I think that when you get better sleep and deeper sleep, you remember things like that better. So when I do remember dreams or nightmares, I feel like it's usually when I've gotten a lot of sleep, too much sleep, or really deep sleep. And I don't know if my dreams or nightmares ever really had a meaning. There were probably a couple of times where it seemed like some dreams had some kind of meaning because they were probably influenced by an event that had happened in my life at that point. But as to whether they have some secret to unlock, some hidden meaning about myself that I have to read between the lines about, like look deep into my dream and figure out the meaning behind it all to unlock some secret answer to a question about my life. I don't know if that's what it is. I tend to think that maybe not. I don't think you get premonitions in your dreams and sleep. It may seem like it sometimes, sort of like a deja vu situation. And I do understand that a lot of times during your sleep, your mind can work out and solve problems that are going on in your life. And that's because, from what I believe, while you're sleeping, your body does nothing else except for all its various little micro tasks and stuff for healing and your health and all that. But your mind focuses on itself. It's not thinking about I'm doing a podcast. It's not thinking about the microphone placement. It's not thinking about the lighting. It's not thinking about looking at the camera. It's not thinking about the topics. It's thinking about itself, its issues, and what needs to be done to solve those issues. And how it goes about solving those is just another mystery of the mind, I guess. And I believe that nightmares and dreams may be part of the problem solving process for the mind, which is an interesting thing to think about. I don't, I want to be clear to make a distinguishing difference between what I was saying earlier and what I'm saying now. I don't think you were just given answers in your dreams or your nightmares, or you have premonitions, or you see beyond, or anything like that. I think that dreams and nightmares are the result of your conscious and unconscious mind internalizing things that are going on in your life and figuring out ways to minimize the stress and anxiety that some of the issues in your life may present. Because in the end, your body wants to be as healthy as possible, and it wants to do everything it can to get to that healthy status. And, health has a lot more to do than just physical health. Physical health is one thing, mental health is another. And I think a lot of people have grown to see that and have come to realize how important mental health is in the last few decades. More recent times, it's probably a lot more prominent than it has been ever. And that can be a good thing and a bad thing. It does get stigmatized now because it is so prevalent, but I think it needs that in order to be brought forth into the mainstream so that it can be addressed. So I've had some pretty messed up nightmares before, and I think a lot of what my nightmares have rooted from are fears. I've had a lot of nightmares about things that I was afraid were going to happen. People dying, people leaving me, myself dying and not getting to do things that I wanted, or myself dying and leaving people behind. And I've had a lot of dreams about crazy things. Anything you can think of that people just dream. Aspirations in life, goals you want to obtain, things you wish would happen, all that sort of stuff. I do have a handful of notable dreams/nightmares that I can go in more depth in other episodes. But I have had notable dreams and nightmares. I used to keep a dream journal for a very short time because I had heard that writing down your dreams first thing when you wake up so that it's fresh in your memory and you can remember as much as possible is a good way to notice patterns and allow you to eventually lucid dream. And I have had lucid dreams. I've probably had the most lucid dreams I've ever had in my life more recently than ever, which I'm not sure why, but I have had lucid dreams. And for those of you who don't know what lucid dreams are, it's a dream state where you realize you're dreaming, and it's almost like living in a movie or a video game. You come to the realization that, oh, I'm dreaming. And then you can sort of control where it goes. I don't know if I've ever had a lucid dream where I realized I was dreaming and said, oh, I can do whatever I want now. I'm going to become a millionaire and have 30 million cars and have all this cool stuff and do all these cool things. I don't think they were ever like that. My lucid dreams, from at least what I remember, have always been dreams that are just very real. So real to the point that it feels like I'm going through my normal life. It's not a state of I'm in control, I can play God and do whatever I want. It's been more of, okay, this is very, very real. Is it real or is it not? And then things will happen and I realize I'm dreaming, and then I kind of fall out of it or I wake up or whatever. But my lucid dreams usually are just very realistic dreams that by the time I wake up, I go, oh, that was a dream, but it felt so real. Now, that may not be the definition of a lucid dream, but I have felt like that's where my lucid dreams have gone. I've never had that lucid dream where, again, I can play God. I'm Superman. I can do whatever I want. I can make a helicopter appear. It's like having cheat codes in Grand Theft Auto or something. I've never, from my memory, had a lucid dream to that extent. I would love to be able to, and I'm sure you would too. I think a lot of people would, because it's like having a second life and a break, and it's like having a movie while you sleep and recuperate and recover. If I could ever get the choice of having lucid dreams every night, whether they're bad or good, just having the ability to realize I'm dreaming and do whatever I want and fly around the world and do all that fun stuff, I would pick it. Some people may not because they're afraid of what could happen, but I would accept that burden. I have tried in the past, again, like keeping the dream journal, to promote more lucid dreaming. And I think maybe it worked a bit. I never did it long enough to see long-term results. And maybe because I'm doing this, I'll start doing it again. Because having the ability to just lucid dream would be awesome. And I've seen a lot of people boasting about how they're able to do that, and that every night is a new adventure and they can do whatever they want, and they love going to sleep because they can live another life and do whatever they want and all this crazy stuff. I don't know how much of that I believe fully. I think there are people who overly boast and exaggerate or hyperbolize their actual situation to sell you a book or some kind of lessons or something on how to lucid dream. And that's the kind of stuff I avoid. So whenever I've looked up how to lucid dream, ways to promote more lucid dreaming, it's always brought up those business seller, I'm going to sell you a book kind of people. And that's always turned me away from it. I think people are obviously taking advantage of those who are looking for that, and they're going to cash in on it. Which, okay, you know what? You can do what you want. It's legal. It's capitalism. It is what it is. People are going to do it. Fine. I'm just not going to buy into it. But from the free stuff that I have found and the actual helpful information that I've gotten without having a paywall, just noticing patterns and keeping a dream journal seems to be a very, very big component into promoting more lucid dreaming, and being consistent with it is a huge key. Consistency is key with a lot of things, not just, lucid dreaming. It's in a lot of things, even with making a podcast or making videos on YouTube or something like that. Consistency is very powerful. But on the other side, I have had extremely scarring nightmares that I never had to write down because of how bad they were. It left an imprint on me, basically, because of how bad it was. And I don't think I'm the only one that has that situation. I think a lot of people have had those kind of dreams, or sorry, nightmares. And, again, I can go into them individually more in depth in a separate thing. But I have had those, and they're not always fun. Most of the time, they're not fun. And I guess this begs the question and comes full circle to the beginning of this whole thing. Do they mean anything? So when it comes to the lucid dreaming and stuff like that, I don't think that has much meaning. That's just kind of like running a simulation like the Matrix, like a video game. Whether you're in full control, half control, or no control. When it comes to regular dreams, I think depending on the contents, they obviously mean something, but do they mean something that is significant to your life? Maybe. I think that they can have the potential to have a meaning depending on what's going on in your life. Like if you're stuck because you're choosing between two jobs and then you have a dream about one of the jobs, maybe go with that job that you had a dream about because maybe your brain figured out the answer for you without you consciously making that decision. But then when you just have a dream, like let's say you work at a bank and you're an accountant and all of a sudden you have a dream that like you're a rock star and you all of a sudden go, oh, I had a dream I'm a rock star. It must mean something. That means I need to quit my job and learn an instrument and become a rock star. No, I think that's where the entertainment value comes in to dreams, kind of like something to keep your mind going while you sleep, while your body physically recovers and mentally. But I think it's like having a movie play while you sleep just to pass the time, keep you occupied. Because obviously researchers still don't exactly know what dreams are or how they work. But then I think the events that actually mean the most are nightmares. Because I feel that nightmares, again, stem from fears. And that usually when you have a nightmare that stems from fear, there is something serious going on in your life. And that may be a failing relationship, a family matter, a declining health of someone close to you, a death, just a bad situation in your life. And you may be overreacting or not. But it may mean something more than what a dream would because it's obviously rooted in something deeper than just an aspiration or a goal. It's rooted in something real, something primal. So if you have a nightmare that you don't spend enough time with your significant other and that your significant other leaves you because of this, well, maybe that is a sign that you need to change and try to spend more time with that significant other. So logically, I think nightmares mean something more than dreams or lucid dreams do because they root from fears and issues that are going on in your life. If you have smaller issues, decisions, things to figure out, a lot of times you might be able to just figure them out in your dreams because your body will do it or your mind will do it for you. Lucid dreams is like playing a game, watching a movie, choose your own adventure, books, stuff like that. Although people fear having nightmares and people hate them, I think that we need to pay a lot closer attention to them when we have them so that we can figure out what's going on a deeper level. I'm not saying let's look at the dream and unpack everything and find out the secret meaning behind that nightmare, but maybe look at it on the surface as, hey, I had a nightmare about this. Maybe something needs to be done because obviously it's bothering me enough to cause a nightmare. So I'm under the impression that when you keep a dream journal, let's say you keep one, or I start keeping one again to try to lucid dream more, even when I have a nightmare, I'm going to write it down. I may not always want to or not want to remember it or have it recorded in some physical form because it was that bad. But I think it will in the end be very helpful in the progression of your mental health. So I think it's a good idea. And now that I've talked about a lot of this, I think I'm going to start doing that again. I love keeping different kinds of notebooks and stuff, and I have one that was dedicated to recording my dreams and stuff. I think I'm going to pick it back up again. And then I can obviously tell you guys how that goes down the road after I've done it for a little while longer. I just have to get back into it. So this is a very long-winded and very long roundabout way to get back to the main question of whether or not dreams and nightmares mean anything. To me, nightmares mean the most because they're rooted from issues and fears that are actually going on in your life, and they're deeply rooted. Dreams, a lot of times, are entertainment or solutions to simple problems or a sign that you need to address something, not necessarily take action. Lucid dreams are entertainment value. You know, do what you want. It's a movie, choose your own adventure book, video game, whatever you want to compare it to. It's an entertainment value based event that procures in your mind while you sleep. And that's my take on it. If you guys have any other takes on it, definitely let me know what you think. Tell me if you think dreams and nightmares mean anything, what they mean, what you think they are, and your overall opinions on just the whole topic of nightmares and dreams. It's a very broad topic that has been questioned for a very long time. And I think it'll be a very long time before we actually get any concrete answers as to what they are and what they mean and the purpose of them. But I think I've come to a good conclusion for today. Thank you all for listening to this podcast. Keep everything calm, keep it dark, keep it atmospheric, keep inquiring, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for listening.